What's the biggest surprise about the Sony A1, and should Canon be worried? Let's look into that. Hi, I'm Tom and you're watching Rumour Has It. Please subscribe for camera news, rumour and informed opinion. It's free to subscribe and it helps the channel grow. It also allows free entry and a 1 in 100 chance to win an AC battery adapter, which is compatible with the latest Canon cameras. See the link below for full details on how to enter. I'm sure the excitement generated by the launch of the A1 was well deserved. All the videos released are praising the camera, and rightly so. Sony have risen to the challenge thrown down by Canon with the release of the R5. So let's look at how those specifications stack up, and where Sony have regained the lead, before we talk about the big surprise. But before we get into that, I'd like to remind you it's not all about the specs, it's about the experience and also about the end results. The best end results are achievable without the top spec or the most expensive camera. Sony has claimed a lot for this new camera, and the increased processing power gained by using two Bion's XR CPUs. And it's paid off, giving Sony A1 the edge in some important areas. Here it comes. We can see in this table where each camera has the edge. Where the edge is narrow or of less impact, I've coloured it orange, or at least it's orange on my screen. And where there's a significant advantage, I've coloured it green. Let's talk IBIS. Sony claim 5 stops, and the R5 has been verified in the real world at 8 stops. Tony Northrup did some tests to confirm this, so the Canon still has the advantage here. Also, the R5 is 100% sensor coverage for autofocus, including eye autofocus. Sony has 92%. The Canon also has 1053 tracking points compared to the A1's 759. So again, Canon have the advantage. Now the A1 has Sony's amazing viewfinder with 9.44 million dots. But does that really make a noticeable difference? No one has found fault with the resolution quality of the Canon viewfinder at 5.76 million dots. So I don't think there's a significant advantage here. Looking at refresh rate of the viewfinder, Sony have given it as 240 Hz, which sounds impressive, but you'd be hard pressed to see the difference between this and Canon's 120 Hz in real life. Many gamers would kill for a 120 Hz display. As for blackout and rolling shutter, the R5 has been praised for how well it handles these. We still have to see what the A1 can do in the real world with Sony's stacked sensor, but on paper it should give them the edge. Time will tell. On the rear screen, the Canon is larger at 3.2 inches and a higher pixel count of 2.1 million compared to 3 inches and 1.4 million on the A1. Now let's look at frames per second. Sony made a big play on shutter speed of 30 frames per second. Reading the small print, however, this is only on compressed and lossy C-RAW. The R5 and the A1 both do the same 20 frames per second in full RAW. The R5 also does 12 frames per second mechanical, where the A1 only does 10. The R5 also has a bigger buffer than the Sony, as you can see here. It's practically endless in reality, limited only by the storage capacity on the cards. In video specs, the Sony now has 8K, but it's 420 compressed 8-bit and less demanding on the processor compared to Canon's 8K 10-bit 422 RAW. Now I know Sony can squeeze amazing 4K out of their cameras, but until we see it in the real world, Canon still has this edge on specs. And before anybody starts typing, but what about the overheating in the comments? The latest firmware has made a huge difference to that. and very few hybrid shooters find any actual limitation. Most of the stories surrounding this stem from the early firmware, and the fact that the displayed time remaining was not accurate. Also remember, Canon have yet to release what will be the real competitor to the Sony A1, and that will be the Canon R1. This is a larger body to dissipate the heat, so should be better in that regard than either the A1 or the R5. Also, we've yet to see how the Sony 8K behaves. Remember, Sony have reintroduced the 30-minute timer on the A1 for a reason. And they've also had to reduce the quality to 420 8-bit. Now, Sony have a lot of experience when dealing with overheating, so I'm sure they've taken that into account when they limited the specs. So now for the big surprise from the Sony A1. Given this is Sony's flagship model, which boasts two of their latest and greatest Bionz XR processors, the Canon R5 runs it very close, with only one Digic X processor. What does that say about the power of the Digic X? And remember, Canon have a history of putting dual processors in the 1DX, so what can we expect to see if Canon fit two Digic X processors in the Canon R1? I've shaded fields in green where I think a dual Digic X should give Canon R1 the lead, and when we know more about the final specs I'll complete that table. I'll also be putting timestamps in the video so you can go back to it and pause for more information. Now that Sony have put their stake in the ground, my US viewers will get that reference, and it's marginally in front of the R5, let's see what Canon brings with the R1 and what secret sauce they can add with the dual Digic X processor. Thanks for watching, rumour has it. I hope you found this useful. Please click the subscribe button below as it really helps the channel grow. And for my part, I'll continue to bring you camera news, rumour and informed opinion.